and welcome to another video / back to the beginning podcast. Yes, we're putting the podcast back on YouTube. Try saying that with false teeth. I tell you what, it's been a while. This is the end of Let's Create, Let's Talk Series 7. I'm not going, it's staying. But I'm going to start putting some episodes, if not all, back on YouTube. Now YouTube's, changed its ways because they're letting you put, I see a lot of podcasts on YouTube now. It's got its own tab. As if you go back, as if you what was that? Stick with, if you go back, this all started with 10 videos on YouTube. And our guest today was the first guest I had on Let's Create, Let's Talk, the photography show. Unbelievable. Over 2 years ago, this gentleman thought it was a good idea for come and chat to me. And we launched this podcast with this guest. So it's great to go full circle and get him back on for a Christmas special. Bit of Crimbo. Oh, are you ready? I'm ready. I think we're ready. We've been shopping today and I'm now going to get this sorted because I can have a bit of downtime and then come back because I've got another video for in between Christmas and New Year. Shall be, I think I'm going to do a Q&A, but I have got a new bag I want to show you. And I've done some clips in and around Liverpool, some street photography, probably some of the best I've ever done. So I'm still undecided what that video will be. But there will be a Q&A because you've all voted for that on YouTube. Thank you so much. And I'm going to stop there. I don't know if you can see his little head. Oh, he's gone. He's vanished. It's all a secret. Until now. Series 7, Episode 12, the Christmas special. On YouTube, on podcasts, on Spotify, on Apple. I bring you Gavin Hardcastle. Press big button.
Hello.
It's a bit weird. You're over there. I don't know if you heard. You might not have heard it then. You're just doing your Tim Pot philosophy.
Oh, really?
You've actually interrupted yourself.
Sorry, I'll come back. Sorry about that.
Brilliant. How are you doing?
I'm a bit hot. Can you see how shiny I am?
You look a bit shiny, yeah. Like Brill cream.
We're upwards of 30 degrees and I've got no air conditioning.
What?
Yeah, well, that's got to go in next year's budget.
See, I'm seeing you here. You've just said you're a bit warm with icebergs.
Yeah, this is different. So, but if I could go back in time to where I was then, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Because I was freezing then, but now it's just brutal. Since we got back from Iceland, it's just been a heat wave. And
wow.
A slide audio interlude.
So that's not it?
That's not on.
Okay, let's fix that because...
But it doesn't sound too bad. It's a bit roomy, but it's not too bad. And I'm not hearing...
It should be that one. Okay, so you can hear me now, right? If I switch off phantom power...
There you go.
So has it gone?
It's gone. You've gone.
Now it's come back.
Now it's back. So
so you're definitely hearing this and not the shitty cam mic.
Yeah.
But I'll just put my gob close. I'll try and keep my gob close.
That's what some of the time I've been practicing. I'm not good with audio, I have to admit. And to be fair, people are suffering it, so I must be doing something right.
I don't think your audio's shit. I've never once listened to your videos and thought, this is shit audio.
Oh, speaking of that, I've just got these as well. Holy Land.
What's that, mics?
I've been with Rode at Pro Go, whatever they're called, Pro 1, the first one, wireless one. And they've been a bit awkward of late, and I've been in some bad weather, and I got these Holy Land. So far, so good, because I just use my phone now for blogging. I don't use any fancy cameras, gimbals, or nothing. I've had it. I'm done. So yeah, I'm impressed.
So you just blog on your phone?
Yeah, on my iPhone,
and you connect that mic to your phone?
Dead easy. Honestly, wait till you see. You must have seen these. There's loads. They'll have approached it. I bought these like a Nesmeg. I could have probably got in touch with them and said, give us a free one. But it's nice little case. Look at this. I feel like we're making a little product. So this is recording, ladies and gentlemen. I might keep this in. You've got this little kipper. It's like a little, what can I call it? Like a little fin slips in
Yeah.
its bottom.
Oh, that's good.
And that's it. Yeah, that
So
goes
that's
on.
the receiver.
Yeah, and then the mic, I put silly stickers on, of course. That's it. And that's a little magnet, and it just onto a lanyard, or you can
And does
clip
it
the magnet.
have a little wind muff so you don't get...
Yeah, the wind muff's a bit excessive. I've got to say, it
Oh.
looks like a BG on your chest. But the sound's good, and the thing is with this is why I've switched, because the Rode, I kept losing power halfway through a vlog, and I'm having to charge them. And you know, when you're I've had them for 4 years now. They were first ones that come out, the Rode Wireless Go. But with this little case, and you've got 2 mics, so you're basically you're good for go for multiple adventures. And there's me say, no, I don't get any commission for that, but
Do they need to get in touch? I think they should get in touch.
they need get in touch. Yeah,
How much did that cost then to buy?
120 quid.
So that's about 240 Canadian, I think. That's not
Now-
too bad. I think it's still cheaper than the
Well, I bought the DJI.
Yes.
So I've been through a bit of a mission. I bought the DJI, what you've just shown us, and I tried to record without the receiver via Bluetooth. Not good audio. And I thought, I'm not paying 189. I haven't got the money. I'm not paying that. So I thought, Amazon, isn't it? I'll order both. I'll keep them both, and I'll try them both. I'll do a compare. Should have made a video. See, I'm not that clued up, me. I just think I won't just go out, walk around, and talk shit for 2 hours. You know.
you just described my job. That's what I do.
It works though. It works for you anyway. I'm getting there, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
been a while.
sometimes it works. This is a bad year, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just I just haven't put enough time into doing courses and stuff like that. I put a lot of time into this, which
Here
is
we go.
my new book,
Hold on. Stories
Within Stories by Gavin Hardcastle. I put a lot of time into that.
Cut that bit, Mally. We'll use
No,
that.
you can't cut that bit. You know,
I mean, we'll use it. We'll cut that bit for.
All
We'll
right.
use that. We'll
Yeah.
use that. That can.
Well, I mean,
multiple-
Mally, that the whole point of this, you know,
Yes.
is purely to
It
plug
is.
my-
What's it called again?
Oh, I'm glad you asked there, Mally. It's called Stories Within Stories by Gavin Hardcastle. Look at that. Look at the cover on
Look
that.
at
Isn't that just
shine? Oh, it's
Oh,
like
it's
a
just
really
gorgeous.
good polished. Yeah,
Oh,
polished. You know.
I'll give you a quick little glimpse inside of
Go
it.
on,
You
let's
know,
have a
but, I
look
mean,
in-
you'll already know this, Mally, because you bought one, haven't you?
I've just like to say though, Gavin, this isn't going out as a video.
All right. Well, it's been nice. It's been nice, Mally. Yeah.
It's audio only. I don't put my podcasts out as video because YouTube doesn't like me. As I edit this, I realise that most of what I'm saying has changed. I'm no longer using an iPhone. I no longer use the Holy Land microphones. And also, to add, this is going out on video.
I apologize for that slight audio and video interlude. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, maybe you could send me the video and I'll put it on my channel.
All
How
right,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah. Okay, that'd be well good.
Yeah. All right. Deal.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, that was my focus this year.
Yeah.
And the problem is, right, since I did my first book, the cost of making the same book has gone up by 30%. And by same book, I mean, so like this is my first one, right?
Yeah, they look the same. Yeah, yeah.
It's, the format's the same, but obviously all of the stories and the images are different. But the size and everything is exactly the same because it worked so well the first time.
Yeah, yeah.
So why change it? But it went the cost went up 30%, and then the cost of shipping more than doubled. So it cost me so much money to get the books here so that I can physically have them because I ship them out. Amanda ships them out.
Yeah.
That's a job.
With the
And then the
Unicorn.
cost of me shipping them out to people. So like the profit margins now, since I did my first book, are so bad
halved.
I'm not going to say it's not worth doing. It's still worth doing, but it worries me about the future because it makes me wonder if the same exponential increase happens when I do book 3. Well, I won't be doing book 3. It won't be sellable. No one's going to pay $250 for a photo book unless it's some ridiculously posh version of it, So yeah, it's times is tough, mate. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, yeah. Especially for someone like yourself, that those things are all a part of the income stream, and especially the quality of the book. I know you asked me, that book I made was. It's not. It's just like a zine, really, isn't it? It's a, the thing is, you could go in that direction, but then there's the idea of just the hassle of it. But if you did more, you know Sean Tucker, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I watched his videos.
He does it's an A4 sized magazine that he puts out quarterly. And I'm just throwing ideas out there because I think you've got more than enough to be able to create maybe a little cartoon series or something. Well, now you're doing Tin Pot Philosophy. you, you could put one out every week,
Because people love that shit, don't
they? They lap
the thing for me, Mally, is I would totally be up for the zine thing.
Yeah.
But I live in Canada, and the problem living in Canada is shipping. So you have one choice basically, and it's Canada Post. I mean, you've got other choices like FedEx and UPS and all that, DHL, but they're even more expensive. So with Canada Post, I can't even come close to the sort of shipping costs, even for a small little thing like a zine, that somebody could from the UK or the US. Like if I live close to the border, I would probably go across the border once a week with a box full of goodies and ship them from there for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
But I'm nowhere near the border. So I'm kind of hampered by my geography and where I am and what I can do. So it's what you have to do in this game is you just have to have a big portfolio of offerings for people to try and get them to buy things. Whether it's education, whether it's a book, whether it's a print. And you can't focus all your energy on one thing for too long. You have to spread it out. And so it's difficult because your head's always scattered, right? You're always you're all over the place trying to keep up with things. But as long as I keep pumping out videos, then hopefully people are interested. But it's tricky because my videos take so long to do that I can't like some other YouTubers, when they go and travel for 3 weeks or whatever, what they'll do is they'll make sure that they've built up a stock of videos, maybe office videos or whatever, so that they're still reminding people that they exist every week while they're traveling. My videos are so convoluted that I can't do that. I can barely keep up with one a week, let alone do an extra 3 or 4 while I'm traveling. So typically what I do is I just go traveling and that's it. And then nothing goes out when I'm on a trip. It's just a dead zone.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of good for me. It gives me a bit of time off. And I sometimes feel like it's good for the audience because then they might miss you a little bit.
I'm just gonna say it makes them thirsty.
Yeah. Maybe not after like 3 or 4 weeks, then they're like, where's that guy that I used to watch every Sunday night?
Barry John Castle.
Yes, yeah. What's happened to him? Is he still alive? So I just cannot do extra videos. I struggle with one a week. So typically what you see from me is maybe like 3 solid videos, one a week. And then I might have a week off because I've got to do something like write a book or work on a photography course or prepare a workshop or something like that. We all do the same things, don't we? Us guys that do this photography, like we all do, courses, books, workshops, zines, prints, private tuition sessions. That's really the portfolio of money making services that you can offer, and then on top of doing all that, pump out a video once a week that isn't crap, right?
Yes,
it's quite time consuming, but I feel like when it's going good, I feel like I've got the best job in the world. I'm not whinging. Just let me be very clear.
No,
I'm not whinging. It's just sometimes it's a struggle, and then sometimes it goes great.
Yeah. I completely with you. I can't do all those things. And I should be. If I want to get out this rat race I'm in at the minute, which is tiresome to say
Well,
the
you're a
least.
graphic designer, right?
Yeah, but it's shite, and I've got three bosses at the minute because loads got made redundant, and then it's just yeah. So I'm in an interesting place at the minute because everything you've just said, I'm working on in the background. So the
Yeah.
website, Patreon, I'm even thinking of doing Darren Spoonley creating these ebooks, and but the thing is, it's key to this way of keeping things balanced and going and making some money doing what we love. So yeah, everything you've said is very much on my mind, and I see you doing. I think even even with the fact that people still believe that you're mega loaded because you do YouTube. That
Yeah.
fascinates me that people think, oh, he's on a bob or two. And I'm like, he's probably only just paying a mortgage worth off YouTube, if that.
The way it's gone for me is it's like feast and famine, you
Yeah,
know. So you have good years
yeah,
where everything just falls into place and you're like, oh, this is great.
yeah.
And then you have bad years where just nothing comes in or sales go really bad. Like my last print sale was a disaster, mainly because I'm an idiot, right? And when I announced it, I announced a sale date of last week, right? It
Right.
was in the past.
Yeah.
So anyone watching it was like, oh, I must have missed
It's
this.
gone.
This must be an
Oh,
old video.
yeah.
So that whole print, and it takes me at least a week to prepare the website for the print sale, get everything ready, test all of the prints, and have all the stuff ready. It takes me a week to prep. That's not including the months of image editing or years. Some of these images go back years, right?
Yeah.
So that last print sale of mine was a complete disaster, and I'd set it up to happen while I was traveling. So there was
Yeah.
nothing I could do to fix it,
Oh,
except maybe send out a newsletter saying, "Oh, oops,"
oops. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
so stuff like that. So when things go good, I can have a fantastic year, and I'm thinking, "Wow, I'm doing great here. I'll order a Ferrari, shall I?" But yeah, I always remember those lean years, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, well, next year might not be so good, and it
yeah.
hasn't been, right? So you try not to go crazy spending. Like I don't spend frivolously, but
No.
you know,
Well,
3,000 copies of this ain't cheap, right?
you're there knocking out umbrellas though. You're putting umbrella, that's waste that's just a ridiculous expense. So posh, an umbrella for your
$13
camera.
that, and maybe it was $30. I don't know how much that umbrella cost, but it, you know what? I think it saved the camera on an Iceland shoot.
Really?
Yeah, because even with the umbrella,
Yeah.
the camera was drenched,
Ooh.
and I tried shooting with my other camera while that was on the tripod. I got my other camera out and just shot handheld, right, with no umbrella, and that was completely. It looked like someone had just emptied a bath on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as much as it wasn't doing a whole lot, I think it saved it during this shoot that I did in Iceland, which you'll see in about, God,
A
2 or
month.
3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's famine and feast when you're sort of
Yeah.
self-employed. But I think people naturally assume that YouTubers are
They
rich
do.
because
Yeah.
there are some that are, like
Oof.
if you're one of these mega channels that's just doing videos about just random shit,
Yeah. Tin
then yeah,
pot.
you know what I
Yeah.
thought about doing, and this might be my retirement plan. I've got two retirement plans, but I can't decide which way to go. I think if I wanted to just be a famous YouTuber and make loads of money, I would do a cooking show, right?
Oof.
And I'd make it hilarious and just
Yeah.
totally ridiculous, but at the same time, deliver a good meal at the end of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But show all the mess ups and the
Trials and tribute.
failures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I'd enjoy doing it. But the thing is, the reason why I do this thing is
You love
because
it.
I
Yeah.
love landscape photography,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my passion. And
Yeah.
if it hadn't have been for that, I would not be on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's not like I want to chase fame and fortune. I want
Yeah.
to do the thing that I love.
Yeah.
And if I can get a bit of money out of that and a bit of notoriety out of that, then, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't crave the attention or
You've
anything like
nailed
that.
it there. Absolutely nailed it. It was my father-in-law. He comes up with ideas every now and again. He'll WhatsApp me or whatever, and he'll say, "Listen, there's an ice cream van in Billinge, and he's got queues round corner. Get down with camera and do a vlog, and get on the. Hey, come and get your ice cream." And he's wrote a song and everything. Right? He's off his head, and he's like, "Come down and record me doing this song and get it on your YouTube channel." I'm like, "I do landscape photography and street photography. Oh my God." He said, "Can you not work it in? An ice cream van." This guy's getting 500,000 views on TikTok. What did he call it? Shit talk. I'm like, oh, I can't just do that because I love what I do. You've just nailed
Yeah.
it, what you've said there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a shame because I feel like if I took things in a certain direction,
Yeah.
I could probably be rich, but I'm not really money motivated.
No.
You need a certain amount of money to keep the wolves from the door.
Yeah.
And a certain amount of money to sort of keep your stress levels down. But outside of that, I don't really care about it. Certainly don't care about wealth or richness. And even if I did have sort of major wealth, I don't see me doing things like buying yachts and stuff like that.
No.
I just use it to travel and get better shots and get better video.
Fix your steps up, camper van.
The steps are gone.
Have they gone? I
They
haven't
are
seen
gone.
why, because it was that your last video before this one.
It was a few videos ago.
Was
You've
it?
missed some, Mally.
I've missed.
Get on that.
There you are. I do.
But
I do.
you
Yeah.
know what's upsetting? I just like the week before I'd spent all this money upgrading my steps and took it to the local mechanic, and he's like, "Bloody hell, I worked extra hard on this, but I'll only charge you this much because that's what I said I'd do." And
Yeah.
you take care of those stairs and enjoy your trip. And on the very first day, the stairs were. I'm going to be seeing him this week, and he's going to be like, "Where's the stairs?"
What have you done? Yeah.
Oh, well, they came off in Newfoundland and I just threw them because
Oh.
it was the very first day. So I knew this is just going to keep happening over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just couldn't deal with the stress of the stairs falling off,
Concertina
dragging
and-
along the highway,
Yeah.
leaving sparks. I just couldn't deal with that. I just took them off and threw them and gave them to a local who probably salvaged all my stainless steel nuts and bolts for a fortune.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes with these camper rigs.
Isn't it?
And
yeah.
actually, I just got in touch with Talklift this week.
Oh.
So, do you know anything about these rigs? That this kind of camper that I've got, it's like it sits in the back of the truck bed,
Yes.
and then you have these turnbuckles, these long pieces of metal with hooks on, which hook the whole thing down to the frame via these tie downs. And one of those snapped, and they're very expensive. These turnbuckles. So I emailed them this week after I'd noticed on their website that they have a lifetime warranty.
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, your thing snapped." And he said, "Oh, can you send me a picture?" I said, "I don't do better than that. I'll send you a video." So I just sent him a link to that video that showed it snapped. And then he emailed right back, said, "Oh man, that's no good. Right, we're going to send you a full set, a brand new set of, because I only brought one.
Yeah.
But he's sending me all four, right? Because you've got four of these points. So hopefully I'll get that this week, which is good because I'm going to be going on a major cross Canada road trip fairly soon, and I want all that stuff good and proper before I go. So that's a company called Talklift, not sponsored.
It's good to
I guess you could say they're giving you free gear, so that's somewhat
but for a reason though.
But I just like that.
Yeah.
They emailed right back. Here's the solution. Don't worry about it. I love that kind of service. That's great. I'm sure other companies would have just said, "Yeah, that sucks for you."
So yeah. So you're going all the way across Canada. Are we heading to a certain grey grumpy?
Yeah, so we're going to be going out to Banff and and all that
cool.
lot.
Yeah.
So I always have this decision. It's like, do I fly?
Yeah.
Rent a car, pay for a B&B, or do I just spend 5-6 days driving? Because it'll take me like 6 days minimum to drive out there. But I'm hoping I can stop at some cool spots along the way and turn it into an actual road trip rather than just a shuttle across the continent. Yeah. And then obviously get tons of content. So the plan is I'm doing a workshop. Oh, by the way, one of my people just cancelled.
Yeah, I saw that.
So there is a spot open, but I don't know if by the time this goes open, when you putting this out.
Ooh, I'm not fast myself with these. It'll probably be in about a month's time.
Oh yeah, it'll probably be. Hopefully, knock on wood, it'll be filled by then.
Yeah.
But so the plan is to go out there, do the workshop, film tons of content, finish filming the Pano course that we started with Brent in
Brent.
Newfoundland, and then
Yeah.
go down to Montana to meet up with Blake Rudis from
Right.
F64 Academy,
Yeah.
because we're going to be working on a course together, which is quite an exciting little concept, which I won't blab about now, but it's the first
Yeah.
time I've done something like that with Blake. But if
Yeah.
you're a long time Fototripper fan, you've probably seen me and him do some videos together in the
He
past.
knows. He knows his onions. He does indeed. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to Photoshop, I don't think there's anything Blake doesn't know how to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. So that'll be good. So
Yeah.
it's a big trip, but it might be the last one in the camper though. I might get rid of it after this. So if anyone's interested, if you want a big rig here in Canada, and then get in touch, because I was looking at the numbers the other day, and basically because of the weather that we have here in Nova Scotia,
Mhm.
I can only realistically use that rig 6 months of the year. The other 6 months of the year, it's off the road. So I'm thinking, what's the point? What's the point of having that? Because when I lived in BC, I could use it all year round because you would get 2 weeks of snow, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here in Nova Scotia, we get quite a lot of snow and ice in the winter, and it's just not worth going on the roads with a big tippy rig like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with four-wheel drive, even with really good tires, it's just the whole thing is kind of, it's not agile, let me put it that way. So I'm wondering if it's like just not very practical to have it here if I can only use it 6 months of the
I
year.
thought it was welded and a complete case. I thought it was all one. I didn't realize it was actually on the bed of the like a normal pickup truck.
Yeah, they call them slide-in campers,
Right.
and it just sits in the bed, and it's just tied down to the chassis with this rig. And touch wood, I mean, it's been fine, and you see thousands of people, especially in BC, they use them. They're very popular. In fact, I saw loads in Iceland when we were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a brilliant rig. I just don't think I'm using it enough to
No.
justify having it. This year, by the end of the year, I will have got the Newfoundland trip out of it and the Rockies trip out of it, which is great. It's not much, is it, for a year?
No.
So I think I'm either going to get rid of it and get something that I can use all year round that's perhaps a bit smaller,
Mm-hmm.
or just get rid of it altogether and then just, instead of going on these road trips, fly somewhere, and just go to some international destination.
They keep talking about this. Don't fly, don't do this, and it's cheaper for fly than for fill it up with gas or diesel or whatever it is.
Well, it might be that, but the problem is now, especially here in Canada, the cost of accommodation
Right.
is astronomical. And then the cost of renting a car at the other end after you've flown is astronomical. So, really, even though it costs me fuel to drive to the other side of Canada,
Yeah, you're saving. Yeah.
I'm saving quite a lot on accommodation, car rental. And so, but really what you're saving on is time, and you're actually driving once you get to your destination anyway. The whole reason why we all do this kind of thing is you're just saving on time shuttling back and forth from shoots. And that was the mistake we made in Iceland, because what we did in Iceland is we just picked a base. I rented an Airbnb for 3 weeks near the town of Vic, and that was our base. And so we would just do day trips, shuttling out here, there, and everywhere, and then going back to base every day. And it was stupid. We should have rented a camper and just done laps around the whole island until we've seen everything.
Yeah.
Because that way, let's just say the weather's crap everywhere except one spot. We just drive to that one spot and spend 3 days there.
Yeah.
Whereas what we had was just sideways rain for a week everywhere we went.
Just going to ask you that. Yeah.
It was pretty bad. So the first 5 days, so it was a 3-week trip.
Yeah.
First 5 days was fantastic. We got good light, cloud but sun, and it was just, fantastic. Day 5 we got
hernia,
which you'll have to bleep that out if you're putting this on YouTube. Yeah.
I can cut it.
Otherwise, you'll
Cut.
get censored.
Cut.
Hernia.
Oh no, fuck them.
Yeah. Well, we got the
Hernia.
Ah, fuck them.
so we got the
Hernia.
day 5. That knocked us out, especially Amanda. She was wiped out with that. So we couldn't really, well, I had to keep going, right? It was costing me so much money. I couldn't just stop
Yeah, no.
and sleep and stuff like that. So I just carried on working, and I'm hiking up in the mountains and
Pumping me
carrying
sweat
on.
and banging head.
I'm just feeling like absolute dog shit while I'm doing it. But I gotta make the bacon, right? So
yeah.
so I carried on. She just slept in the car. And then after about, I don't know, 5 days or a week, we got over the worst of it, right? We were still pretty exhausted, but we got over the worst of it.
Yeah.
And then just as we were sort of starting to feel a bit better, the rain came in, and it was just sideways rain for pretty much the rest of the trip. So it was a hard trip. But having said that, some of the locations looked better because of that shit weather.
Yeah.
And I knew they would, and that's part of the reason why I picked Iceland, because I'd always said in the past I would never go to Iceland.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
It's just, so rinsed in terms of the photography. But in the last couple of years, I'd started to see new content coming out of there from places I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
That just looked fantastic and looked a bit more remote than the usual sort of low-hanging fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they inspired me, and I thought, man, I've got to go. And then I was just talking to some neighbors over Christmas, and they said, oh, did you know that Iceland Air does direct flights from Halifax to Reykjavik? I was like, what? Direct flights? Because living here in Nova Scotia, getting direct flights to anywhere that you want to be is hard. Like if I want to go and see my mother in Scotland, I'm flying here, there, and everywhere. There's no direct flights, right? It's ridiculous. There used to be. There ain't anymore.
Yeah.
So when I saw that they did these direct flights, I thought, oh yeah, man, I'm going to do that. They weren't cheap, obviously, but 4 hours. It just took 4 hours to get from Halifax to Reykjavik. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It takes me longer than that to drive to the top end of Cape Breton.
That's crazy. Yeah, so it was a goer. Yeah. And I think it's the images you've shared. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're on my Patreon as well, but go over to Gavin and join him on Patreon. You seems like you're doing quite well with that. Now, one of the images I've seen, was that from Iceland on Patreon?
Yeah, I think I've put 3 or 4 from Iceland.
I thought you had, yeah.
Maybe 5.
I'm not paying, for your
Oh, you're joking.
Well, I'm sure. But difference is, yours is $4.50, isn't it, for lower? It's same with Mr. Grumpy. I'm like, come on. Couple of bob.
No, I mean, we're talking high quality stuff here.
We are. I got told off for putting. I actually buy a couple from Canada when I went to Scotland doing a shoot, and they was like, "Oh, you're on Patreon." I'm not going to do the accent. So I was like, "Yeah," and they went on there and joined, and they're like, "Ah, you're far too cheap," and I'm like, "Lesson learned." Yeah.
This is the thing about pricing is,
yeah.
The majority of people will complain that you're too pricey.
Yeah.
But those that have means complain that you're too cheap, right?
Yeah.
So you try and place things that are somewhere in between to try and keep as many people happy as possible.
Yeah.
But when you think you've figured it out, someone comes along and says, "No, you've done this all wrong. You need to rethink this." So
going back to Iceland, the shot I've never seen before. And it's proper like your shot with the water moving in the foreground and the sea stacks. Lots of penises on the horizon and then a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very drawn to phallic things. I don't know why, but yeah, that's definitely. But to be honest, that composition there, everyone shoots that, right? That's
right.
not. I'm not saying that that's original. Anyone who's got the balls to climb over those rocks, or in my case, under, I went through this little tunnel to get there and brave those treacherous waves, will get that shot, right? It's pretty obvious. You just rock up to the beach and there it is. You shoot it.
Yeah.
But it's just, I absolutely love that location because, and this is why I chose Iceland, there are so many good locations that work in absolutely shit weather, right?
No
so as long as your camera dry and you can keep the rain spots off the lens, you can get good shots. So if you wake up in the morning and it says sideways rain everywhere. I've got a list of locations that are going to work just fine.
Yeah.
No, as long as you're willing to brave the highways and the absolute idiots that are driving on those tight little highways that don't have many passing lanes.
No
We
doubt.
saw some right crazy shit while we
no,
were there. It
no
was
doubt.
frightening.
Tourists. I don't know why I've wrote her envy down here. I've got a list of questions for you.
Oh, good. Are they
By the
new
way,
ones, or are you
we're
just repeating?
recording. Did you know we're recording?
And it says recording, yeah.
Scrunchions. You've only just mentioned that. We'll come back to that. How's the church going?
It's on pause
Right.
because this is one of those grim years where I'm just not making any money.
Yeah.
The church is on pause.
It looked fucking brilliant where you got it to.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's there are parts of it that are brilliant, and then there's parts of it that are an absolute shambles, right? So I'm just happy to have a roof over my head that's not leaking now, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy that the bats are gone and I'm not having to shovel bat shit anymore because that was pretty horrible. And I'm just happy not to have had any accidents because last May I fell out of that hatch up there.
With the bell tower.
No, it's just the attic.
Right.
And I was up the ladder. So it's my own fault. I'm so stupid. So the floor was just plywood for months, right?
Yeah.
And I had the original wooden ladder that took you up into the attic so you can get into the bell tower, right?
Yeah.
And so all of that time for maybe like a year or so, the wooden ladder was just resting on the plywood or the OSB, it's called, floor, which is wood on wood, right? So it had a little bit of grip. Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone was using that ladder, going up and down, heavy stuff in my hands, all kinds of stuff. It never moved, it never slipped, it was solid.
Yeah.
And then we moved in last May and put flooring down.
Yeah.
And I got this, it's kind of like a plasticky stuff. It's like these plastic tiles and it's smooth.
No.
So then I got that same ladder with its soft wooden bottom, put it up there into the hatch, placed it on the now smooth plastic floor, and did my usual thing. Got hands full of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm carrying shit up there in the attic. I'm on the very top step, stepping into the attic. Like I've got 1 foot going into the attic, 1 foot on the top step. The whole thing just went and just slipped out from under me, and I went down. And so my arms smashed on the sides of the hatch, went down. My ankle rolled, and both my knees just got hyperextended, and just so I have been. It was bad. I thought I've I've been hit many times. I do Thai boxing, right?
Yeah.
I get hurt quite regularly because I'm not very good. And I've had all kinds of accidents in my life, but I can tell you that was the hardest collision that I've ever had, and it just completely took me the wind out of me, and I could barely walk. And it's over a year now, and the knees are still pretty bad. The ankle has healed almost now, but the knees are still pretty bad. But yeah, that slowed things down. And
hobbling on a few videos and hikes. I don't remember you mentioning about you falling out the hatch though. But I know
you've obviously missed some videos, man. You're not watching quite as religiously as I expected you would.
I do, but I might miss one or two. You know.
Yeah, well, but you know what? So this is the sad thing. So I had that accident. I was messed up, but I had a deadline to get a video out.
Yeah.
So that same afternoon,
I saw that one.
I'm out vlogging. I'm pretending I'm fine when I'm absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, but I've just got to keep going. Like when you're self-employed and you're a small scale operator like I am, you can't stop. You just have to keep going and just go through it.
Yeah.
So after that, the church was pretty much on pause.
Yeah.
We did get some guy in this year to finish a few little things, carpenter. Yeah. But after that, it was like, okay, we've spent up, we've run out of money. Let's just put this on pause now. So it's going to be on pause until at least next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I do get enough money, the first thing I'll do is put some air conditioning in because, oh man, this is hot.
And some new ladders.
Just so I'm soaked. I'm sitting here.
I can see you. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you had Brill cream on your hair, you know.
Well,
Oh,
and then the other thing as well is it's so humid here. I mean, like, can you see this can of La Croix? Can you see
look
the
at that.
humidity on
Look
that?
at
Look at it
that.
dripping. Look at that.
Oh, get it licked. Oh, hey.
Um,
Oof.
so in Nova Scotia, we have in the summer, the humidity is brutal.
Might be back
So
here.
if you open up your windows, you can get
Yeah.
some nice breezes, but you're letting in all of that
Warm air.
humidity, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it ends up being warmer if you don't get the breezes. As soon as the breezes stop, you are screwed because now you got all this humidity in your house,
yeah,
and you have to have dehumidifiers running and all kinds of stuff. So it's got its challenges, Nova
yeah.
Scotia, I'll tell you that.
What, you there now? How long has it been? Time's been flying. It must be going on for 3 years now.
22. We moved in 22.
Yeah,
We arrived here in April 2022. So
yeah,
yeah, it's just over 2 years.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Nova.
that's good.
So some of the stuff I've seen you do with, especially the last one I watched with Brent with the foggy coast. Like, oh, that was good. I love
Yeah.
Brent. I wish Brent had a YouTube channel. You
He
know.
Brent had a go at doing the vlogging
Yeah,
thing, and he just realized pretty quickly, I can't stand spending all day in front of a computer.
yeah,
Brent's got a life, right? He's
yeah,
got a life to live. He
yeah,
ain't doing what I'm doing and sitting in front of this console editing videos 12 hours a day. He's not doing that.
yeah,
So as much as I wish he would do it,
yeah.
I totally understand why he doesn't want to because it just sucks all of your time. And
Mm.
so his job is he's a personal trainer, right?
Right, yeah,
So he trains wealthy Calgarians and does quite nicely out of it, and
yeah,
probably would take a huge pay cut if he was doing this kind of thing,
yeah.
and would probably see his health go down
Drop.
the tubes because he'd be
Yeah,
sitting in a chair all day instead of wandering around a gym lifting weights for people, telling them how to do the squats or whatever they're doing. So
yeah,
I don't think he'll ever do it, which is a shame because I love when we do stuff
yeah,
together,
yeah,
and he's got so good over the years. And it's funny because I might not see him for a year,
yeah.
so it's not like he's had any practice talking
Mm,
to a camera or doing shenanigans in between, but
yeah.
it's just a natural when you hit record. He's just a natural, and it's a lot of fun to do stuff with Brent. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I wish he wasn't so far away, but he is. He's in Calgary. I'm in Nova
What
Scotia.
do think? What the people think about you when you're doing? Because you've done a few where you're doing like obviously your workshop's done, but you get people involved. Are they like I don't know? It comes across so funny. I think, do they know what's going on here? Because it's seamlessly entertaining to us, but you've got to tell these people in the workshop. Like the last one I can think of where the guy was, I can't remember his name. He had a, he was in his way, he was in his composition, and they were doing a bit of, there was two, that was hilarious. And they don't do that. They're not YouTubers. That must be a lot of fun. I enjoy seeing them.
Well, I mean, you know this, right? You're a Lancashire man, right?
Aye.
So, especially in the UK, Lancashire, Yorkshire people, Scots, Irish. Apologies if I missed millions of people out, but people in the UK especially, they're just funny, right?
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
have an innate ability to be funny. Now, of course, I can mess with that when I film something. I can extend pauses. I can cut overly long pauses down to short ones. So it's the editing that makes it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was Mario and Benku, and they were on my Cape Breton workshop. And we were just sitting around for hours, bored to tears. So I just
Yeah.
said, right, should we do some silly shit? Yeah, let's do some silly shit. All right.
Oh, that's great.
How
Yeah.
about how about you say this? All right, I'll figure something out. And so you just give people a very basic idea,
Yeah.
and then you hit record, and then they just go with it. And then, whatever.
What's the young lad's name with the tash and you took him up the rope? Oh God, that was hilarious.
Alex.
Alex, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Subscribe
Yeah.
to his channel. Yeah, he's unique, isn't he? That lad. He's
Alex can do comedy.
Yeah.
He can do it. He's got a funny
Straight
face.
faced. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the so we met up with him in Newfoundland. You don't see a great deal of it because he was too busy rebuilding his website in Tim Hortons. And I was like, well, come on, let's go and do some shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm doing my website in Tim Hortons. But there was one day, I think on the last day, which we did a couple of little silly skits together, and he's quite funny in that. So you'll see him in a few weeks actually on my
Cool.
channel. But yeah,
Oh,
he's definitely got the ability to deliver some comedy just completely off the cuff. But I think most people do, right? And especially if they've seen my videos and they know what they're getting
yeah.
themselves into, then they're on board, right?
You bring it out of them, though. Definitely.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'm a bit of a clown, and so that but that's what I'm saying. It's like some people might not seem like for example, Simon Dentremont.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you might not think he could do comedy, but we've done some skits together where it's just like he's just killing me. I'm just
Yeah.
howling.
Yeah.
So I
Straight
think
man.
it doesn't take much to bring that comedic timing and just sense of silliness out of somebody, especially if they don't get the chance to do it very often. It's almost like you give them permission to be silly. And,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, right, I'm gonna rinse this for all it's worth, right? And they just go for it,
Yeah.
you know.
Brilliant.
Same with like Thomas Heaton. So he doesn't
Oh,
do that much silliness, but he's totally capable of it. And when you give him the opportunity to be a bit silly, he goes for it
the
full on.
series in Scotland with your mum and dad, where you ended up fighting. That that's probably one of the best YouTube things I've ever seen.
I
You
wish
know?
we'd had more time to do stuff like that
Yeah.
because it was so funny.
Yeah.
Um, that it just yeah, I wish we'd had a bit more time, but I didn't see him until I think that was the last day of our trip.
Yeah.
And then he was going off somewhere and we were flying home, so that was all we could fit in. But like Roy's just an absolute gold mine of comedy,
Yeah.
which I wish I still lived in Scotland at times because then, well, I still lived in the UK. I never lived in Scotland, but I wish I
Yeah.
still lived in the UK at times because then I'd have access to my parents
On
and
tap.
all of their
Yeah.
their just ridiculousness that they just do all of the time.
Yeah,
That's what
which
they're
normal,
like.
isn't it? That's their life, right? That's how they live. The little
Well,
anecdotes and it just
I think
that generation. I love that. I miss that with my mum and dad. I do because they're no longer with me. But there's them moments where I look back and I think, do you remember that when he used to go hunting for clay pipes? Like, digging up hills for find clay pipe. Look at this one, lad. What the
uh,
fuck? It was just bonkers how they
yeah.
were. And when seeing you do that, it really touched a nerve. I was like, that's fantastic. You know?
Yeah, and I want to try and get as much of that as I can with them while I still can, which is difficult,
Yeah.
living here in Canada. And there are times when I kind of think, I think if I was going to move now, I wouldn't move back to BC. I'd probably move to Scotland.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like the political, like, we're not going to get into politics, but the political situation in pretty much all of the Western world now is getting so weird and sketchy.
Yeah.
And I just like, especially the UK. So
Yeah.
I mean, Canada's pretty bad in terms of that, but it'd be like going from the frying pan into the fire or just
Yeah.
going from one frying pan into another. So the only benefit would be I'd get to see more of them, which is, I mean, obviously that's the best benefit.
You
But
cut off though with Scotland. You kind of cut. You can escape it. I feel a bit like we're going Cornwall for an holiday. I feel like you cut off from it. I wasn't going to mention it, but yesterday, me, my wife, and two kids ended up having run away from a riot in Liverpool, and it was terrifying. Luckily, I know Liverpool well. We had to hide in a Superdrug. They locked the
God,
doors and put the shutters down. I've never seen anything quite like it, man. I don't want to go on to it, but we got away,
yeah,
we got back, we got safe. So you're right. You're right. But I think there's parts at the minute where um I think like Scotland, I'm up there in October, my fifth time, can't wait. I've got kind of a bit addicted to it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm doing a week-long workshop there. We'll just get that, little nugget in.
Smooth. Very
But
smooth.
it is cut off, and it is very much a place that I felt at home. Same sense of humor, same
Yeah.
kind of like kind, but without being kind.
Yeah. Scotland feels like home for me because that's where my parents are, and they've lived
Yeah.
there for I think 30 years
Have
now.
they? Wow.
So, since I was like in my early 20s, we've been going up there
Yeah.
if like Christmas or whatever, been
Yeah.
going up there year after year, sometimes multiple times a year to see the old folks. And it just becomes home now, right?
Yeah.
So where
Yeah.
they live that feels like my family home,
Yeah.
going back home, even though I've never personally lived in Scotland. I'm a Yorkshireman, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when you're up there, especially where they live about 45 minutes from Dumfries, right out on the
Oh,
coast. It's gorgeous.
yeah.
It's just so beautiful, and it's
Yeah.
quiet, and it's safe, and it's idyllic.
Yeah.
So I love going there. But you're right. You can sort of drive 2-3 hours, and you're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. There's mountains, there's
Yeah.
forests. It's an absence of people.
Magic.
But then, like when we were there, we were in Scotland the whole time, except for one afternoon where we drove down to close to the lakes into England to meet up with me brother and some friends from England, from Yorkshire, from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And it was almost like someone flicked a switch. As soon as we crossed into England, the traffic doubled. And then
Yeah.
the further we got south, it doubled again. And it was just like, oh my God, where
Yeah.
have all these people come from? It's just like there are so many people crammed into a little island,
Hmm.
and most of them are in England, right?
Yeah.
Scotland still has these big open spaces and quiet spaces. For now, I don't know how long that's going to last, right?
I think
But
it will last because I think people seem to do the ants thing. It's all in the cities, and
yeah,
there's no real cities in Scotland as such on the scale of what England's got. Inverness, and you've got certain areas, but I mean, in terms of like Glasgow and Edinburgh borders, um, our well, look where I live. I've got Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield. We've got Lancaster, Preston, and it's all boom like and everything is just rammed in a very small area due to industrial era, I guess. That's why it's like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to heading up there again.
where are
And
you
if
going?
so, I'm based on the Black Isle, where the apartments are that we've set up, and then we're traveling out to like the coast, west coast, Mellinunjagull, around Torridon, that area.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking people to like usual spots. I'm trying to go to something a bit Malay, a bit different, and just walking and wandering and seeing, and no fixed tripods in halls. But let's just go and see, because as I experienced my first visit, the weather and the changing in the weather, it's like, oh, why would you want to just go one place when you can move with it? So that's the idea. We're going to drive out to the west coast and then drive back and go to various locations and then back to base. And then the
Yeah.
next day I've split it up, so it's woodland, coastal, and I'm doing street photography in Inverness. So that should be certainly different.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
So I've never done street photography. Well, maybe a little bit in Vancouver, but
Yeah.
the one thing that I always love when I see pictures of street photography in cities is rain with wet floors and
Yes.
reflections and lights reflecting off of
Yeah.
surfaces and walls.
Yeah.
Well, and you get lots of that, so you'll
Yeah.
you'll be good there in
Yeah,
Scotland.
yeah. Looking forward to it. I certainly am. But it's like you say, you less people, and I'm
That's
getting
where I
old.
live.
Did you say it before? I think you did actually. I think you said it on this video, but I couldn't agree more. Going out on your own, and over this year, I've probably been out on my own more than I've ever done.
Yeah.
Whether that's just because I'm becoming old and grumpy. I don't know, but I love
Well,
it.
I rarely get that luxury because Amanda's always tagging along, right?
Yeah, yeah, but
She's
that's
my
that's
little
different.
Klingon.
Yeah, yeah,
But you know, I love it. I love
yeah,
my little Klingon. But um, yeah, I mean, the reason why, well, one of the reasons why I live way out here in the middle of nowhere is the absence of people,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
we left a busy town that was beginning to be very crime ridden, you
yeah.
know, and just congested.
Mm.
And we moved to something so different to that that it's now, you know, I can't believe it, but occasionally we actually miss the city a little bit, which is good, right? Because we were so
Yeah,
sick of it. Now we kind of miss it a little bit.
yeah.
But there's just, it's just so quiet. And the first thing that we both experienced once we moved here was our stress levels just went down
Really?
and we
Right.
could sleep at night and we could
Oh,
relax. And it took some adjustment, right? Because you're so used to the hustle and bustle and you're so used to um, choices and amenities and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So when we lost all of that, it's like, okay, well, you got to entertain yourself now. You know, you got to figure out your own little bits of entertainment. I'll tell you
yeah.
what's popular out here is
Dominus.
garage drinking. People
All
like to
right.
drink in the garages, yeah,
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
because it's like it's too far away to go to the pub. You know, you got half an hour drive to the nearest decent pub or whatever.
Moonshine.
Even longer if you want to go to a really good pub.
Yeah.
And people just say, right, we're drinking at 5. The garage door will be open. Do you want to come round? So you go around. And sometimes it's just like 3 or 4 people. Sometimes there's 50 people getting gradually more and more shit faced out in somebody's garage, and there's the
Brilliant.
dogs roaming around, and it's different, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit rural, but in many ways I kind of prefer it because it's totally unpretentious, and the people that you meet
Yeah.
out here, like your
Straight.
neighbors and your friends, are
Yeah.
completely unpretentious. There's no, I don't think I've met a single pretentious person. Like they're just real. There's real
What do
people.
you do? What do you do, Gavin?
Yeah,
Gavin?
there's
What do
none
you
of
do?
that. There's none of that. You know, it's just people are just real
Drink
and they're
this.
friendly
Yeah, yeah.
too. You know,
Yeah.
they're really friendly. You know
Yeah.
what I found strange is when we were in Iceland, the tourists, because most, I would say 95% of people that you meet out in Iceland are European tourists, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we just found that they were so miserable. And I just couldn't understand it. I'm like, you're in this spectacular place. Fair enough, the weather's shit. Fair enough, you've probably got
Hernia,
because everybody arrives with
hernia.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
And but I was, you know, I was even when I was feeling kind of shitty, I was still like, wow, man, this is awesome, you know. And I'm still always,
Yeah.
I'm always polite and smiley with people on the trail, right?
Yeah.
But the amount of people that we met on the trail that were just grumpy and sour, and I thought, why are they like
What?
this? And you know, the only ones that we met that were friendly was Americans,
Yeah.
people from America,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were so chatty and friendly, but everyone else just didn't want to talk. And maybe this is just me because I left the UK, you know, 20 years ago almost. Maybe I've just forgotten what it's like on that side of the world. And over here, people seem to be a bit friendly and a bit more chatty. I don't know.
No, it's changed a lot. We've leveled up with London.
All right. Oh, we can't talk politics again. Oh,
Oh,
no.
Jesus.
Yeah, we're getting
Hasselblad X2D.
right. Okay. Yeah. What
It'd
do
be
you want to know
heavy
about
if it
that?
hit some of these people with, you know.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, I won't mention it. No, I'm not going there. But I get what you're saying. I mean, you meet these, but like for me, everything's a wonder. You've gone to Iceland. Jeez, what's to not be excited about? You know?
Well, I wondered if it's maybe because it's so expensive there, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you kind of bump into people, let's say you're in a cafe or a restaurant, everyone's probably grumpy that they just paid $50 for 2 coffees and a muffin. You know what I mean? I think
That'd do
that
it.
might be what it is.
That'd do
But
it. Yeah.
I mean, you just kind of you know that it's going to be expensive before you get there, right? And you just kind of you just come to terms with it after the first 3 or 4 times of being rinsed. You're like, okay, I just paid 5 times what I would have paid for that at home. but that is what it is here, and I either have to accept it or leave. So just accept it, and then try and be happy. There were some things that were actually not that bad, actually. And tell you what I will say about Iceland. People had told me that the food was crap, so I had low expectations. I
Yeah.
thought the food that we ate in restaurants, which weren't many because it's expensive, but we did a few, was actually quite good. And the service was really good. It came out fast, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of my preconceived ideas were dashed in a good way. So there's some things that I really liked about it. And then I guess the other thing that I sort of not it's not a regret, but sort of missed out on is because of our situation being in an Airbnb with our own car and pretty much being nocturnal because we were sort of traveling round and round at night to get the best light, is we didn't really get that much interaction with Icelandic people, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't experience any Icelandic culture other than when we went to the restaurant or we went to the store, and so people in the service industry. Outside of that, we didn't really get any opportunities to meet locals and get to know them. So we kind of missed out on that a bit. But if we went again, I'd try and I'd probably just reach out online and let people know we're coming.
Yeah.
And just say, do I have any Icelandic friends who want to,
Oh,
tell us some stories and educate us and give us some history and that kind of stuff? Because I bet it's interesting.
yeah, definitely. And you'd be a bit like Pied Piper as well. They'd want to take you and show you places, you know.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. The only problem is you kind of feel obligated then, don't
I
you?
know,
Like
yeah.
if they want to show you
Yeah,
something and you're
freedom.
just like, I
Yeah.
don't like this.
Yeah.
And especially if they're driving, I wouldn't let people drive me around. I'd feel bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I tend to not let people know when I'm traveling because I don't want burglars to know that I'm not at home.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not one of these social
That's your
media.
Yorkshireman in you. There's no one. You're in middle of nowhere. No one's.
Don't say that. Don't jinx it. I'm knocking on wood now. Well, see, back in England, I got robbed quite a few times.
Oh, well,
right?
yeah.
And that was like
Huddersfield in
30
Yeah.
years ago. So I can't imagine what the crime's like
Well,
there
you'd
now.
have to put pillar in front of VHS clock, so burglars couldn't see clock flashing and all that. Put brasses away, my mum would say. Get brasses off wall, they look expensive. Put them in cupboard.
Once you've been robbed,
Yeah.
you're forever paranoid.
Oh, of
right?
course, yeah.
Once people have taken things that you made, that you
Yeah.
slaved over and loved,
Yeah.
it just changes you, and you'd never have trust,
No.
and you're always a little
No.
bit paranoid. And I think if
Yeah.
you can keep it healthy, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? So
You've got to have your wits. Yeah, yeah.
I just don't like to sort of go online and say, right, everybody, I'm going to be absent from my house between this date and this date.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to give me a free tour? I'm not doing that.
We'll only put this podcast out when I get back from Cornwall.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I do. I I post videos from locations and people commenting saying, "Oh, how long are you going to be here for?"
Yeah.
I got back 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So people don't know where I've gone until I've got back.
Yeah.
And I like it that way. I don't need everyone to know where I'm
No,
eating dinner
I
today.
agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not.
Well, yeah, doing the stories, doing all this, it's such a chore. And that must be a great feeling, that the fact when you've just gone to Iceland, you're not like doing the old, portrait style shorts on. I find all that really invasive. I see everyone doing it around me who are getting successful. I don't know. Is that any part of the success? I don't know. But they seem to want to say everything when they're there. And I'm like setting my camera up and thinking, I just want to enjoy the moment. I don't want to be talking to, saying, oh, here I am on a fell in the Lake District. I'm in a fell on Lake District because I'm focused. Talking to a camera for a vlog's a piece of piss, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's when you have to start setting it up for doing on Insta and you're doing all these stuff. And I notice you don't do that, do you? Now and again, but I think it's when you're back at base or you set up,
It is, yeah. I can't stand it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't stand social media.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't, some people would say, well, isn't YouTube social media? I don't know if it is. I feel like it's a long form content platform.
Yeah.
It's here's my portfolio of videos. But social media, it's a necessary evil if you're doing this kind of thing. If you've got your own,
Yeah.
you've got your own personal brand, you have
Yeah.
to, sadly, you have to remind people that you exist
Mm.
all of the time. If
Yeah.
you don't remind them that you exist, you fall off their radar and you can't make a living, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
would probably make way more money if I posted 3 reels a day
Yeah, exactly.
back of my
Yeah.
camera, but I
Ah,
just I
don't.
just can't stand it. And I think my problem with social media, and I'm totally wrong in this. I know that I'm wrong because I see success for other people who
Yeah.
do this. But my philosophy is, if I think it's shit content, I don't want to put it out,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, what I think
Shit
is shit
content.
content,
Yeah.
other people might want to know which beer I'm drinking right
Yeah.
now. They
Yeah.
might want to know how that burger tastes in Iceland, right? But I see that as low quality garbage that
Yeah.
I'm not interested in making, and I'm not interested in publishing. But I'm wrong about it, and I know that I'm wrong about it, because look at how many people do this, and it's great for their brand, and it's great to remind people what they're offering, whether it's books or courses or whatever, and they sell way more stuff than I can ever sell. But I'm
Oh,
just not into it.
you mean stories within stories?
Yes,
I nearly got the
show this
fucking
picture
title
that's not
wrong
going to
there.
get seen. Stories Within
Stories within.
Stories by Gavin Hardcastle. There's a link
Right.
in the description somewhere. I don't know, wherever
So
this
when
podcast
am I
ends.
getting my copy? Send
You
me.
know what? I've only got now. By the time this podcast, video, whatever goes out, this my first book, Chasing Awe, will no longer exist. I think I've got maybe
Right.
10 copies of it left, and then that's it. And it's never getting reprinted either. Like an idiot, I promised it would be a limited edition. That
Yeah.
was stupid, wasn't it?
Nah. No, you never know. These
I
books
thought it
go
would
up
be
in
like, I'll
price.
make it limited edition and they'll sell real quick, and then I can jack the
Yeah.
price up on the last 200. Well, that didn't happen. They just sold it. They just sold at a normal pace.
I
And now I'm
remember you
thinking,
saying you've only got so many copies left, and then 6 months later, you were still
I've still only
selling
got so many copies left.
them.
But legit now, I think
Gone.
there's about 10. And
Yeah, yeah,
then I've got about 4 or 5 copies of my own that I use as props, but I can't sell those because they're all
no,
damaged and scuffed up and wrinkled.
yeah.
So I
Don't
did sort of
forget
think,
Amanda's unicorns that came with them. I was like, oh, look at this.
This is annoying. People are so bloody impressed by Amanda's unicorn stickers. They're more
Really
impressed with
so?
that than my bloody book that I've worked years to create. Where's the
There's
justice?
no
See, there you go.
surprises though. That was a nice surprise. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know what you're saying. But that's kind of like what we were talking about just a second ago about social media. It's like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
people go crazy over a couple of unicorn stickers, and the book's all right. Yeah, we like your book.
yeah.
So
But
it's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can put stuff out there. If it makes people chuckle a little bit, then well, that's good content. They're all
It
over it,
is.
right? But
Aye.
I don't know. I just can't. I don't get any enjoyment out of filming, you know, my burger while I'm at a restaurant, or filming some cornflakes being poured into a bowl. And this is my breakfast today.
Yeah,
That I
yeah,
don't care. I don't care what you're eating for breakfast.
yeah.
But some people do, and so I know I've got it wrong, but I'm too old to change my ways.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I think it interferes. It stops that place where we like getting to. I'm not comparing myself to you at all, but I sometimes do relate and think, yeah, I'm in that place. I don't want to be mauling with and messing with doing a short or speaking live or out like that. So it's about creating a piece of content, and that is, especially since things have changed with the phone and the way I do things,
Yeah.
I find that I'm far quicker at getting ideas together, but not skits. I can't do that. I'd never do that. And that's the
Bullshit.
that's the thing, I have considered it, but I thought no, I
Well,
can't.
I quite like that thing that you did with what's his name, First Man Photography.
Oh, well, that was his idea. And that was hard, because I did think of you at the time. I did. I thought this is very much of the Hardcastle. It was
But it was
great
good
fun.
though.
It was
It was
good fun.
funny.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah,
I enjoy watching it, and I thought, man, you should do more. Both of you should do more stuff
yeah.
like that.
I agree. Yeah, yeah. I need to find how I do it though. Last video I recorded is hilarious though, where I'm going up home fell and I'm grabbing chunks of heather because I'm that. I've put a bit of weight on it. I'm trying to get up this crag. I've got lost. I'm in all this bracken and I'm sweating and I'm pulling lumps of heather out. I'll probably get railroaded for it, you know. Oh, look at him pulling up. Why is he pulling up? I'm a big
Yeah,
lad and I'm trying to get up a 9 foot rock face. So
yeah,
that could be funny. Yeah,
yeah. You'll get cancelled for destroying some heather.
I
Did
will.
you get any
Definitely.
ticks on you?
Do you know, I was so surprised because that's why I was sweating like a pig. Because I'm thinking, when I get up here, I'm going to be bolted in them. And there was not one. I didn't have one on me. And
Yeah,
it was such a weird day. It was boiling hot. And it was squall after squall of rain. I could see it coming in over mountains and just hitting me. But in face every. But I'm like, oh, come on. I'm trying to get there. There's no path because all fecking bracken's grown. So I can't find my way. I'm lost and I'm sweating, thinking ticks. I'm going to be pulling these off me ghoulies and nothing. I was quite surprised.
yeah.
Nothing.
I'm surprised at that. You'd
Yeah,
expect some. Oh God, those ticks. They're
yeah,
such bastards.
yeah. Never had one yet. Touch wood.
Never.
Never had a tick bite.
God,
No.
I had one last time I was in Scotland, just right on my top lip. I
What?
felt it in the hairs
Oh,
on my little tash. I was like, oh, what's that? And I brushed it, and there's this big
oh.
black tick on my hand. I'd only been there 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and I got a tick.
What
And that
was
was in
you?
Glencoe. You know that big valley, the actual
Yeah,
glen
yeah,
itself,
yeah, yeah.
right in front of the Three Sisters. I was down there on that creek getting that shot. Bloody
Oh.
tick, just like that. God, I hate them. Why do they have to exist? Bastards.
Do you know, I'm wondering if there's a lack of them this year because there's been a lack of flies and insects overall. It's been,
Really?
yeah, yeah, back around it. When was the last in Lakes? 2 weeks ago. And we walked through, we was at Borrowdale, wettest place ever. And it were raining for 4 hours straight. And I was doing my first ever Patreon meetup, like in person, group of us. And I never saw any bugs or flies or nothing. One butterfly. I swear it had a rain jacket on. And that
That's a
was
bit
it.
weird.
Yeah, it is a bit
How
weird.
how
Yeah.
did your Patreon meetup go?
Really good. What a bunch of lovely folk. Everyone like-minded. And everyone hit it off. And it rained solid. Honestly, my boots are still wet over a week later. I nearly killed my camera. All my lens fogged up. And everyone's just laughing and joking. And they loved it. Went to a
Yeah.
quarry. Went to this quarry because I thought this is good. We'll go here because it's wet, and all rock will be wet, and it'll all be colourful. And we goes up on this little cleft, and I'm like, listen, everyone, you're in agreement. If you break your leg, it's nothing to do with me.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Sign that disclaimer.
Exactly. We goes up on this ledge looking out over at quarry. Next thing I hear is this boom, 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 boom. Looks over at side, and Ron's fell over, grabbed a rock and sliced all his finger open. And dropped his Nikon with a 70 to 200 f2.8 as well. So a Bonnie lens. And I'm just going, oh no, oh my God, what am I going to do here? Anyway, I thought, Ron, I'll just take my composition. And I didn't. I
You got to
didn't.
get the shot.
Yeah, I run down and made sure he was all right. And then I realised that I didn't have a first aid kit, but two other people on the meetup did. So I was like, there you go. Need get a first aid kit.
Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh and joke, but it's just a walk on a path. And they decided to go up this slippy crag, which I did warn them all. I did say.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. It was good. You should do one.
Yeah.
Patrons only.
I'm so concerned about someone showing up who's a weirdo,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've had a few experiences
I
in the
bet.
past of very strange people that
Mm.
kind of freak me out a little bit. And I don't know.
That was just
It's
Bry, though, wasn't it?
exactly it was. Yeah. No, I don't know. I think, do you know what when I first started out, I made the very stupid mistake of I was trying to build a client list, right? I was trying to build a client base. So I did the stupid mistake of announcing like free workshops and
Yes.
like so anytime that you offer
Yeah.
something free, what happens is the weirdos come out of the woodwork because they just want to be entertained for 3 hours, right? They might not even be that interested in what it is that you're teaching them, right? So I once, so this is so long ago, I did this Facebook workshop. So I'm going to teach you how to set up a Facebook page for your photography and
Yeah.
how to build an audience and how to deal with it and all that.
Yeah.
And I got so many nut jobs on this free workshop. So we had this classroom in this, I can't remember where it was. I think it was through a camera club in Victoria, BC.
Yeah.
And some of the people were nice and were seriously interested in learning. Half of them were just there for, I'm bored. I want some sort of entertainment today. And I'm going to give Gavin the gears because I don't really care about learning any of the shit that he's telling me. And I'm just going to complain. And one
Oh.
guy actually sort of folded his arms, stuck his bottom lip out, and said, "Well, I don't want to use Facebook anyway." And I was like, "Why are you
What?
here at this Facebook photography workshop? Why are you here?" And so, and he wasn't the only one. There was just like people arguing with me about how shit
Wow.
Facebook was. And it's like, well, why have you come on this? I was very clear about what I'm going to teach on this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was like that really that really sort of twisted my view of sort of meeting up with random people that are, you know, looking for something free. I guess Patreon members are paying to some degree, right?
That's yes, and it's more community by that. I feel I'm finding the fact that it is a paid for thing, that there's a genuine interest in the photography rather, and then you're building up a bit of a band of brothers and sisters. That's how I'm feeling so far. You know,
I guess most of your audience is in the UK then, eh?
do you know? You'd think that. Listen to Canadian accent, then, eh?
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 Well,
Yeah.
that's a Yorkshire thing too, eh?
Aye, yeah.
Eh?
I've been watching Fargo though, so I'm picking up on it.
All
And
right, yeah.
yeah, I love that. But any road, yeah, I find that I've got 60-40 American and English. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that I've got American people are coming on Patreon. I probably shouldn't so cut this if you're in doubt, Mally, but the English don't want pay.
No. Well, I tell you what, rather than saying the English are stingy, why don't we say this?
Go on.
The Americans are very generous.
Well, this is very true. The Americans have been very generous and helpful and giving and supportive. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I find this in general, right, is that Americans, so I've been doing e-commerce, you know, selling things online since the late 1990s. And it has always been the bulk of the people that buy stuff have always been Americans. And I think part of it is something to do with American culture in that Americans have this supporter mentality. Like they want to see success. They want to see,
Yes.
like, you know, the
Yeah.
sort of if you build it, they will come mentality.
Yeah.
Americans have that, right? I'm not saying that all Americans do. I'm not saying that there aren't some that
No.
want to see you fail, right? But I've always, you know, like I said, over 30 years I've been doing online stuff.
Yeah.
Americans want to see, oh, we like this thing that you're doing and we would like to support you. We'll buy some stuff off you. And
Yeah.
it's you see it in the small things like, you know, the kids selling lemonade on the lemonade stall on the street or what they call garage sales,
Yeah.
where they just put
Yeah.
all their shit out front. Americans like to support other people by kind of spreading their wealth a little bit by buying stuff. Sometimes, often in cases where they don't even really need the stuff, they just kind of want to. It's almost like not quite charity because they get something for what they're buying,
Yeah.
but they're just more inclined to part with something because they feel like it's going to help someone else. That's just something I've seen about Americans. I would say Canadians to a lesser degree. Canadians are a bit more like the Brits. in that they want to hang on to their money. And as a stingy, tight ass Yorkshireman, I understand it, right? Because when you're
Yeah.
brought up in Yorkshire, you know, you're like, you hang on to every penny, you haggle the price down. You know, we're just a tight assed culture, is what we
Down
are.
in your
I'm part of
socks.
that. I'm not criticizing. I'm just as bad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's true. That's what it is, you know, and it's these differences in culture.
yeah,
That's why I put all my prices in US dollars, and I primarily market my products to Americans because Americans have always been my biggest supporters since I've ever started doing my first online store. So I love them.
yeah, yeah. I need more of them. I'm looking at my questions here. I'm not being rude, by the way, because we've not touched any of them.
Well, tell you what, you
And
look at your
we need
questions,
for finish because we've been
put it on
at
pause,
it.
and I'll go for a quick piss,
Oh,
right?
go on,
And
have
then
a
I
piss. Yeah,
have your
go on.
questions ready. All
I'm
right.
ready.
I'm back.
I just remembered the last time we recorded, which was God, getting on for 4 years, I think. And you went,
Really?
for, yeah, and you went for a piss, and I could hear you pissing.
What about that? Could you hear that?
No, 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 couldn't this time.
The bigger house now.
You're getting on as well. You got forced out a bit now.
How dare you? I'm 51. How dare you?
Oh, well, there's only a year in us. Bloody hell. You had a tough paper round. I've only
Americans
got
won't
two
get that.
questions, and one of them
Oh,
is actually for bum you up because I've got serious hair envy.
oh
I, I,
yeah.
I don't know how, well, you got to tell us what you're doing. This big, this big hair, what's going on?
Yeah. It's just genetics, isn't it? I'm
It
lucky
must be yeah.
I got some hair. And it's funny, I remember my friends were saying when I was a teenager and I was 16, they would say, "Oh, you've got a receding hairline, Gavin, because it's this is my hairline here.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's been there since I was 16. It hasn't changed." But
yeah,
they'd say, you got a receding hairline," and I'd be like, "Well, it's just where it is. I don't think it's receding. It's always been there.
yeah.
It's just
It's not,
far back." But I'm lucky it's stayed. But you know, I think me dad, I think he kept his hair till the very end, so I
yeah,
should be all right there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
what
yeah.
can I say, mate? It's just
Yorkshire hair,
genetics. I don't do
Yorkshire hair.
anything.
Yeah, even Yorkshire hair, you can't give it away. That's what it is.
No, it's priceless.
Hasselblad, what's
Mhm.
going on? What do you think about? I never taught gear, but the fact
Mm.
that you've got one and I run off with an X1D in the photography show for a laugh. They didn't find it funny at the time, but I was amazed by they were photographing grapes. It was like a pile of piles. I'm like, what? What are you photographing grapes with this camera for? But it was amazing. So the X2D, I'm guessing, is amazing with a bit more. But what's your feeling about that?
There's things I love about it, and there's things that frustrate me about it. But overall, the thing that you just cannot argue with
Hmm.
is the images that come out of it.
Yeah,
Are just it's the best stuff I've ever produced in terms of the quality of it, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, they've got a bit of a limited lens lineup. So if you want to shoot something at 400 millimeter, well, you can't, right? They don't have a super telephoto. So, you know, for that reason, there's only certain types of shots that I use it for, right? So right now I use the X2D for anything that's sort of super wide, but then anything that's needs long reach, I get the Sony out because that's what it covers. So it's kind of frustrating, but I can guarantee you, if the X2D had a 400 millimeter lens, that's the one I'd be using, right?
Bob's your uncle. Yeah,
Because it just produces
yeah,
stunning images,
yeah.
and it's a joy to use. Where is it? Oh, it's over there. But the only thing I don't like about the way that it works is it doesn't have like you get on most cameras, you get like these C1, C2
Yes,
buttons
custom.
so that you can assign all of your favorite settings for a certain type of shooting to
Yeah,
one physical button on a dial, right?
yeah.
Well, the X2D has a version of that, but it's all digital, so you have to tap on the screen a
On the
bunch of
screen.
times
Yeah, yeah,
to load it up, which is generally speaking, I would say navigating around that screen is way better than any menu system I've ever used before, except for that one thing of, okay, I want to load up my custom profile. It's going to take you 5 or 6 clicks to load that up. Whereas with most cameras, I just turn that dial.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
already in the different mode. I turn it again. I'm in
yeah.
a different mode. It's like that. So if they could change that, I probably wouldn't have any grumbles at all other than the lens lineup. And the
Yeah.
lenses are pretty amazing, but there's
Aren't
just
they?
not that many of them.
No,
But I think
no.
my favorite thing about it is that it has this leaf shutter. All of their lenses, I think all of their lenses, I might be wrong. I think so.
Yeah.
Their lenses have these leaf shutters inside the lens. And then that in combination with the in-body stabilization on the sensor means that you could take like a half-second long exposure of a waterfall with no
Hmm.
tripod, right? You just be handheld and it's crystal sharp.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so in terms of the sort of creativity that you get out of it, because we all know that, a tripod gets in the way of your creativity,
Yeah.
right?
I've stopped using it.
Compositional choices are,
Mhm.
well, they're not necessarily limited. It just takes you way longer to get the shot. Whereas
Mhm.
if you're just wandering around, like
Yeah.
like it always was in the beginning, before when you
Yeah.
first started with photography,
Yeah.
before you accepted the reality that you would now be tethered to a tripod as a landscape photographer. Before that, it was so much fun because you were just, you walk around
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
look at all these brilliant shots. And it wasn't until you got them on a computer you realized none of them were sharp. And
Yeah.
that's when you invested in a tripod. But with this, and I'm not saying it's the only camera that does this. There's probably other cameras that have good image stabilization, but there's just something about that combo with the leaf shutter
Hmm.
on the wide lenses and that in-body stabilization, like it just changes everything. If I can rock up to a waterfall on a dingy day in rain
Yeah.
and handheld capture a perfect half-second exposure, quarter-second exposure,
That's
and it's super
witchcraft.
sharp, and I
Yeah.
don't have to get my tripod out,
Yeah.
how liberating is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's kind of what you just said about when you first started. I've gone back to a lot more handheld because of ISO now. Because with high ISO, it doesn't, I'm not, it just doesn't bother me anymore. You know, I'm
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
I
it
think,
depends what you're doing. Like the high ISO stuff, there's a lot you can clean up with, in post now with Topaz.
yeah,
The
yeah,
the results of that are absolutely amazing. But
yeah,
there is still, depending on what you're doing with your landscapes,
yeah,
there is still a huge difference in quality when you bump that ISO up and
yeah,
and you're sort of trying to get those faster shutter speeds. But what I'm talking about is I'm keeping the ISO low
yeah.
because I want that slow shutter speed. I want that sort
You
of
want
half
that
second.
drag. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So you're
yeah,
forced to drag the shutter by keeping that ISO as low as it'll go.
yeah,
But it's only when I start shooting things like birds that I crank the ISO up, and
yeah.
yeah, there's so much you can do now with Topaz. Stuff that I would have trashed before,
Mm.
it's now like, oh yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. I can clean that up with Topaz.
So stories
It's,
within stories, Gavin's new book.
oh
Has
yeah,
that
shall I just
got
show
the
it?
hassle? Here we go. It's a sunset image with some birds on a giant rock with some lovely waves lapping up. I wouldn't say they're lapping, a bit more furious than that.
Oh,
It's a
look at that.
beautiful cover. It's shining at me like
Well,
his
you know what
forehead.
I've figured is, so for people that bought the first book, that's a very sort of blue cover, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The next one, the new one, is a very sort of
Oh,
yellowy
yellow.
orange cover. So I think my third book, if I do a third book, will
Yeah,
be a nice sort of green tone
green.
so
Some
that they all look
trees.
good
Yeah,
together on a
yeah. Look at
shelf.
that.
You know what I mean?
Look at
Give
that.
people a reason to
Yeah.
invest in the entire library
And
of
then you can sell them as like, like you did with the albums in the old days as a, what do they call it? Like a
a
tri,
box
no,
set.
your box set. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd like to see you do more tree photography.
More what photography?
Tree photography. I love shooting me trees. And where you are in Nova Scotia, I keep seeing all these amazing like trees, forests, and you're up high shooting across them all. Like I think you'll be going back for autumn for one where you was shooting across a bay. There was a bay coming in. and it was full of trees and forest. And I thought, could you imagine getting in that lot and having a walk through the forest?
Yeah.
Like,
The problem with the trees we have here is when you do get in among them,
mhm.
you can't see the wood for the trees, and they're all sticks. They're just
Yeah,
straight sticks.
yeah.
So I'm always looking for twisty, ornate,
Okay, yeah,
gnarly
yeah.
trees. And
Cherries,
I
yeah.
think the best tree shot I've got in the last year was a couple of those shots that I shot at Loch Lomond of that
Oh,
massive oak
yeah,
tree.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you know that tree?
yeah,
Because most people drive right past it.
yeah.
And I've been driving past it for years thinking, how the hell do I get to that tree? And I just thought, sod it, I'm going. And I just legged it through
A
those
bog. Yeah, yeah,
waterlogged fields and
yeah,
amongst
yeah.
the rams. And honestly, that tree is so good. I could spend a week just shooting it from different angles with different light. I
Mm.
think I got some gorgeous
You
shots
did?
with that. And
Yeah.
those are with the Hasselblad.
And I think that's why I'm saying it is that for see what you could do. But I get what you mean with Nova Scotia. It's a lot of plantation, would they call it plantations over there? I don't know. Possibly, managed wood. But yeah,
It's just they're just sticks, right?
yeah,
So I mean, there are some gnarly trees, and I'm
mm,
sure that of course there are millions of trees in
yeah.
this province, millions. So I am sure that
Well,
there are
that
some.
fella, the guy who was going to shoot you,
Oh, film a cavity.
that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's he's a friend and neighbor, right? So
Yeah,
um, I just came up with the idea for that one day, and I said, "Would you be up for it?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah, all right, let's do it."
brilliant.
I wouldn't mind trying to get him back into some more videos, but he's not a photographer, right? So it's kind of like, okay, let's go and hike up this mountain.
Why? What for?
I'd rather not.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
can you just carry a tripod and a camera bag and let's just go up this mountain? It's only going to take 3 hours.
You could turn him into an Elmer Fudd, where he's chasing you, following you in woods with his gun.
Well,
There's
we
an
could,
idea. You
but
can have that one.
oh, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, thanks for that. I think I just need to get him out of his own forest, and get
Yeah,
him
can't
up a
blame
mountain
him.
somewhere.
And
But
gorgeous, lovely place. Wow,
yeah, that's his property.
wow.
I think he's got like 60 acres. And so he has to go out with the chainsaw all the time and just manage the
Manage it.
trees
Yeah,
because they're just collapsing and there's deadfall and it's blocking deer's paths and all this kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
people think, oh, don't cut the trees down, but
Oh
you
God,
often
no.
have to
Yeah, you've
deal
got to.
with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That's part of the reason why Jasper in Canada just burned up.
I
It's because
know
of
because of all
terrible.
the dead. No one's
Yeah,
picking it up. Yeah, yeah.
It's they've been talking about this for decades about
Yeah,
sorting that out so that they can just clear it all up, and it wouldn't have happened if they dealt with it
yeah,
better. I
yeah.
mean,
Well, there's no
Banff is
one.
dealt with.
There's no one living there neither collecting it like they used to. So you'd build your houses and your cabins and you'd burn your fuel. You'd collect all that deadfall. Instead, it's masses and masses left over. God, I bet some of it's 10 foot deep in them
Well, a
forests.
lot of it is just pine beetle, that just
Yeah,
dead trees, right? That
yeah,
have
yeah.
been killed by the pine beetle, and it's just standing kindling. It's just
Dry.
the
Yeah, yeah.
driest timber that's about to go up.
We're
They
going
could have cleared
political
all
again.
of that, but we're talking politics now. Like we're going to get in trouble.
I
This
think
could
we
go
should do
badly.
another chat where we just go free for it, straight in politics, proper rant. And no, no, no.
No, we'd both get cancelled.
Are you ever mindful of that? I was a bit mindful about what happened on Saturday that I didn't want to say anything online because at the moment, you're either I've got a family. That's how it feels right here at this moment. Then
The thing for me is I never paid attention to politics
yeah.
until 2020. And
Oh,
you know what happened,
we do.
and you know why.
And
A
on
lot
that
of people
bombshell,
had to wake up and be
yeah,
forced to smell the coffee and realize, oh shit, I've been asleep at the wheel, and this is the consequence. This is the nonsense that is happening now,
yeah,
and I'm partly to blame because I've just, I think a lot of people have buried their head in the sand for as long as they could, including myself, live in our own little bubble, worry about our own little things, because we had a comfortable bubble to live in.
yeah.
Once they started to take away the comfort of your bubble, all of a
Mhm.
sudden, they're bringing the fight to you now,
On your doorstep. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
you cannot avoid this new reality that has been thrust upon you. And so a lot of people, including myself, just kind of started paying attention to things, right?
Yeah.
Because before that, I was just wrapped up in my own little world. I'm an artist. All I want to do is make art. I don't want to pay attention to all the shit things that are happening in the world and the scheming that's going on and the sketchy plans for our future. Didn't care. But now you're forced to pay attention to it. But the thing is, I try to keep it out of my videos because even though I want to express my opinion and I want to speak up about things, but I feel like it's an inappropriate platform for me to do that because people come to my videos for escapism, inspiration, and
Yes.
entertainment.
Well
Like they
said.
want me to make them
Yeah,
chuckle,
yeah,
show
yeah,
them some pretty pictures,
yeah.
and maybe inspire them to try it themselves. Or so it's my channel is quite obviously about a certain thing. If I start injecting too much of my own opinions in there, I'm opinionated and I put a bit of it in,
Yeah,
but there's only so far I can go with it, right? Before
yeah,
people are like, "Oh, God, he's going political," and I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose those people, and I
yeah,
don't want to turn it into a place for preaching, right?
yeah, yeah,
Now it would be fine if I'd started my channel that way from the beginning,
yeah,
but to do a sort of bait and switch on people where it's like, okay, I've pulled you in, and I've got you interested in this thing that I do, but I'm just going to force my opinions down your throat and and force you to listen to my politics. I'm not going to do that because
no,
it would just piss people off and it would kill this beautiful thing that I've made, right?
yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, like let's just say I decided I was going to do a channel that's all about comedic rants regarding politics and stuff. If I did that, even though that would be a separate thing, people would see it and be like, oh, well, now I know where he stands on this. I don't like him. Because no matter what your politics, whatever part of the extreme you're at,
yeah.
or
It's
in the
the
center or
polarization.
whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's a polarization. And as
yeah,
soon as you declare your position, you'll lose half of your
yeah,
fan base, right?
yeah.
And because my like I said, my platform has never been political. It's never been about that. I just keep it out of there. Like if you and I are having a private conversation, I'll tell you exactly what I think about certain things,
Yeah.
and I'll argue with
Right.
people,
Well,
and I'll
we'll
let
just
people
stop.
sort of
We'll stop recording then. And
no.
I'm
Well,
gonna.
we'll
I've
have
got.
that conversation over a pint someday. I would hope.
I would love that. Yeah, I reckon we should. Maybe Scotland next year. I don't know. Or I get my ass over there. You never know. I might hit a big video. Yeah. Who knows? You know, someone all of a sudden might go, "Dude, this fella can take a picture."
Well, if I'm coming over there, I'll let you know next time in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
because I mean, if I'm coming over, it will be Scotland, right? So
Yeah.
that's where I always go. So
Yeah.
I'll let you know, and then you could maybe pop up to Scotland for a day or so,
I'd
and
love that. Yeah.
we could do some shenanigans, and we'll
I
put
reckon
some
some
skits,
serious skits together. Oh
and
yeah.
bring Gary as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I only agreed to do this podcast because I thought Gary was going to be here, Gary Goff.
Gary Goff. There was something you said before reminded me of him actually, and I thought, no, I'll not go bring him into this. He gets enough attention. He keeps posting little snippets and videos saying, "I'm not Gavin Hardcastle." He keeps saying that people come up to him and say, "Gavin," and he's like, "I'm not Gavin."
But do they really though?
No, I don't
Because
know.
he's like 6'4" or something.
Yeah, he's a big chap. Yeah,
He's a big chap, and I'm
yeah,
like 5'8". So I
yeah.
think it's pretty clear that we're not the same person. And I'm
It's,
probably older.
oh God. Oh, oh, I'm not saying anything. He's bigger than me, and I might be seeing him soon. So
He seems like a nice guy, though. I like
yeah,
him.
yeah, he's
I've
good to
never
go
met
out
him,
with.
but I like him.
He's great company to go out with. He really is, and like we do this because we love photography, and that man loves for his photography, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what we're about. After everything we've just said, all the politics, all the gear, and everything, at end of the day, it's when we click that shutter. Sometimes it's not even the result. It's just being out and doing it, isn't it? Experiencing photography from the eye to the camera to the finished piece. I always say in print, is the journey that fills your soul. That's kind of where I'm at anyway.
It's basically soul food, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was a great way to wrap this up, actually. What we do is soul food, whether it's the end result or whether it's you don't actually get an end result, but you have this experience, you have this journey, and you're out in the elements, experiencing nature the way that you were supposed to experience it.
Yeah.
And if you throw in a little bit of camaraderie, some shenanigans, and a bit of creativity and some artistry to that is soul food for me. And that's why I do it, and that's why you do it, and that's why I reckon some of the people that are listening to this probably do it too.
It's been your absolute pleasure.
Oh, you got me. You got me there.
Thanks very much, Gavin. Thank you.
God. All right, mate. Well, thanks for having me on, and we'll do this again, but I'll definitely let you know next time I'm on the other side of the Atlantic, and we'll get together.
Cool. Sithee.
All right, mate.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. It was a big one. It was a long one, but I love having a chat with Gavin. It's always good fun, few chuckles, and we even got a bit serious on this one. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, as much as he did. And anyway, I'm not going to end yet because it is a Christmas special, and I just want to thank you all individually. I'm going to go round the... No, what I am going to say is if you watch this and you're not subscribed, I'm still pushing for 10k. Hit that subscribe button and you'll get to see and know when the videos are coming out, and it really helps the channel. Hence why I'm putting the podcast now on YouTube, just to make sure there's continuous content flowing for you all. But I do extra content on Patreon and a growing community of people, and we have our meetups, we have our projects, and there's lots on there. There's over 80 posts, I think, at last count, of videos and blog posts and extra images that I don't put out anywhere else, just for your eyes only. Head over to Patreon and please considering to support me for a couple of bob each month. Well, all the links are down below. I can say that now, but if you're listening in black and white, head over to Spotify or Apple and let me know your thoughts on there. Drop a review and also check the links in the description, as our good friend would say. And well, there's only two things left to say. One, Merry Christmas, and two, Sithee.